So we have a need for documenting when Microsoft licenses were assigned. So that's why I made this workflow. At the beginning of every month, I archive all of our IT Glue reports. So I get them all and then just set up their archive to true and then generate the new reports. And when they generate the new reports, I get all of the M365 users, and using the list comprehension, I check to make sure which ones have assigned licenses greater than zero, like greater than zero. So that I actually know that they have like assigned licenses. And then I pass it to another sub workflow where it gets the license and checks to make sure it's actually being applied. And I make that's going through with the with items. So after all of that, I just append all of the collected results from the previous task to another list, and then I sort through that list to make a two-dimensional list, with the first dimension being the Microsoft 365 license and the second dimension being the user that has that license. And so that now that they're sorted by their license, I can just pass each list to my last sub workflow, which generates the report. And I just get the year, get the month, get the license name, and I want to check to see if there's previous reports already. And if there are, I want to update those reports. And so if it's null, I make a new report. If it's not null, if the report ID is not null, I update that previous report. And I do some HTML stuff to get it into a nice table. And this is like an IT Glue. This is how it looks. Where you have the title, the product name, the SKU ID as it reports by Microsoft, and just a little table saying what the users are. And obviously, this one's only one user, but if we have like 400 or something, it'll be a very long table with the assigned dates for each of them. It's a pretty basic workflow, but it works for what we need.
How is this a process you were doing manually before? How is this helping you folks?
So we have some customers that dispute whether or not when licenses were assigned. So this is before it was handled by billing manually. They would go into it and see when those types of things were assigned. But now we'll be able to, so like the previous month gets archived so we can see. So like in June, May will be archived. So billing, if they need to check in May, they could go back to May and see where did those users have their license assigned back in May, and then they can show that to the client to show that like they already had the license on so and so day. This runs 3 times a month, so on the 1st, the 15th, and the last day of the month. So the information's pretty up to date.
Yeah, Aaron, what we find is that when you acquire the license isn't enough. So we look for the assigned date for when it goes to the users that are actually receiving that license. And this is where it becomes one of those situations where billing would have to go into each of these accounts, just find all this information. So now we consolidate that. So that was a total manual process before, which was painful. And now it's not. So it's pretty awesome.